Tonight, I'm starting out, it's educational evening. It is. We are going to talk about, and this might be hot. Oh, I hope I brought it in. Epistemology. And I'm going to look for, and I guess I have to edit out the first whole freaking 8 minutes. Oh my God. Okay, let's go. Uh, I'm going to start. I have an article. I had a screenshot that I did not bring in. Let me see if it's on here. If it's on here, I'll bring it in. And then, yeah, I'll bring it in right now. Forgive me. Okay. Epistemology. It's the branch of philosophy concerned with knowledge. See, I have it over my brain. Epistemologists, they study the nature of knowledge, epistemic, epistemic justification, the rationality of belief, and various related issues. Epistemology is considered one of the four main branches of philosophy, along with ethics, logic, and metaphysics. And this is where I wanted to begin. I wanted to begin with an article that I found, and let's have a talk about. It's all going to tie in with current events, you'll see, and you'll take it. This is a learning experience. Hi, Greg Mallard. Thank you for coming. Greg's sharing, and he's done a really great job. I'm so thrilled. Yeah, the gremlins, they messed with my mic. Okay, here, let's go. This is a really good article, and I've got a few things to go through, and it's a learning experience like all our shows are. So I'm not going to let myself get, what is that word? Flummoxed? All right, from this. So I'm going to pull this up and let me share the screen with you guys and get myself on here so I can be with you. And we're going to talk about the 5 facets of epistemological crisis, okay? And I think we are kind of in it, and so do other people. And so we're going to start out with this article I found in a technology news magazine, well, online, you know, online. And geez, I got so messed up. I really wanted to start with this story I had, but 5 facets of our epistemological crisis. So here we are. We are facing a crisis of epistemology in today's world. How do we know things? How do we distinguish between true beliefs and delusions, facts, and fiction? What can be trusted? There are many angles that we could explore in this crisis of epistemology. So we're going to go over the first 5 here. And I'm honestly thinking that this is really going to help us, because there's so much going on to digest. And you know, I really want to start reading it, but I wanted to start out with this story, all right? And I didn't get to because the mic got messed up. Really quick. So sometimes when I need to chill out, and today was one of those days when I got back, I have a little room in an antique store, and it's really hard to sit there on my day to babysit. It's like just once a month, twice a month. And I don't sell that much stuff. But anyway, it was my day to go there today. And so when I got home, I decided I can't be on, uh, I can't be on Facebook or YouTube. It's been too much anger and too much fighting. So I put on an episode of The Golden Girls. And this particular episode was from 1988. And, you know, I can't help but every time I watch, I look at the actresses and I say, well, there's, you know, they're all dead, but one's alive. That's like the morbidness of it. But they were sitting around the kitchen table, Blanche, the mother, Dorothy, whatever, and the phone rang. And the mom got up and she walked to the phone, and she picked up the phone, and I'm sitting in my, you know, just laying there flat, trying to get out of some pain I'm in. And it went back, took me back to before the internet, before all of this onslaught of constant data and constant information and constant, just a barrage of everything. When things were simpler, when we didn't carry the cell phone, when we had to go to a payphone, a lot of us remember that because we're in a demographic. I look at my demographics on YouTube, all right? We're in a certain demographic. And that demographic remembers this stuff. And I felt this longing. I felt this longing for a simpler time, for when I got my news from the newspaper or Channel 24 or 7, when everybody wasn't trying to mind fuck you. Mind you, we were being mind fucked, but it wasn't like this. And I don't think people were on antidepressants yet. I don't think that it was, I don't know, 1988. That's the year actually I had my daughter. So it might have been, it's, but we didn't have that yet. Anyway, that's what led me to this. Because of all the political discussions and all of the constant barrage, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green, People's Party, Biden, Trump, this one sucks, they all suck, that's not going to happen. Oh my God, it's just a lot. And you have to agree with me, you know? Sometimes I just want to fucking just pick up the phone on the wall, hang it up, go out without a cell phone, and never worrying about calling home on a payphone. Tough shit if I'm late. Except that, this is a different husband. I mean, shit. All right. So here we go. So I'm going back to this, and I just thought maybe you guys could really understand this. Sometimes wanting to go back to that and even the 80s, it wasn't simple. It wasn't a simple time. It was a crazy time, but it wasn't technologically crazy. And I'm going to try to get this bigger so we can see it. All right. So first, the author talks about the post-truth, and which was the Oxford Dictionary International Word of 216, and it was defined as relating to our or denoting circumstances in which objective facts are less influential in shaping public opinion than appeals to emotion and personal belief. So clearly, we are reaching a tipping point in rising uncertainty about truth in today's world if post truth was the international word of the year. But this is not a new concept. It's been a long time coming. You probably remember the word truthiness, coined by Stephen Colbert more than a decade ago. So if this was in 2016, it was in 2006. Urban Dictionary defines it as the quality of stating concepts one wishes or believes to be true rather than the facts. But it goes back even further than this. We've been living in a post-truth world for some time, ever since we started living in a post-God world. Time had a striking cover a few months ago, which posed the question, is truth dead? It is intentionally designed to mirror another cover they had 50 years earlier when they asked, is God dead? So those two covers, which were 50 years apart, they tell an important story. Without God as an ultimate standard of truth, without objective truth that is the same for everyone, hmm, we all of us are truths as interpreted by individuals. And so we get where we are, post-truth, an epistemological crisis. Alternative facts. Remember this one when it started? This has become a part of our cultural lexicon, thanks in part to President Trump's well, I don't know what she is now, retired or back home to her kid who threatened to divorce her, Kellyanne Conway, who famously had this interchange with Chuck Todd on Meet the Press back in January. Kellyanne Conway, You're saying it's a falsehood, and we are giving alternative facts to that. Chuck Todd. Alternative facts are not facts. They're falsehoods. This is where we are, folks. And the alternative facts, it's really a bigger issue, which I think is about the nature of technology today, where we can curate our own experiences, surrounding ourselves with only the ideas and facts we desire. We live in our own bubbles where we talk amongst ourselves about our preferred set of facts. If you have alternative facts to mine, that's fine. I don't have to listen to you. And then there's fake news, the term that has become popularized by Donald Trump on Twitter, where he frequently calls CNN, the New York Times, and many other now he dislikes as fake news. Which, by the way, now pretty much everybody is saying progressives. I mean, everybody is saying news as a certain amount of fakeness because of Breitbart, because of Fox, because of CNN, because of corporate media. All right. And then there's fake news, the term that has become popularized by President Trump. But really, what Trump is tapping into and using to his advantage is the deep distrust of mainstream media, which has been around long before Trump. Gallup research has shown that Americans' trust and confidence in mass media to report the news fully, accurately, and fairly has been on a downward trend for more than a decade now, reaching an all-time low last year, with only 32% saying they have a great deal or a fair amount of trust in the media. Hmm. Hum, hum, hum. So, Pew research this summer showed that 63% of Americans say that the national news media has a negative effect on the way things are going in the country. But that has actually dropped 2 points since 2005. That same survey found 65% say the national news media has a negative effect on the country. Well, what accounts for the distrust of formerly trusted news? Infotainment! Is this infotainment, guys? To all 40 something of you watching. um, the mainstream media has, for several decades now, been morphing into a mutation of news and entertainment, a sort of trivialization of the news where the need for ratings and clicks creates a demand for a constant stream of engaging, entertaining content. Neil Postman wrote about it way back in 1985 with his book Amusing Ourselves to Death. But the situation, it's reached crisis levels today. The rise of 24-hour cable news and the explosion of web-based media means that there is huge competition for people's attention. And that's why there's only 43 people total here. As well as a constant need for new content. That means news outlets must manufacture stories and sell breaking news even when there is none. There simply isn't enough actual important news happening in happening in the world to fill constant airtime. You know what? Maybe if they filmed the freaking Arctic, just film the Arctic. There's enough news. That should fill all the airtime. So, what you have is a ton of commentary, debate, and an elevation of trivia to the level of important news. But when everything is important, nothing is. And I guess that's the advent of the 24-hour news cycle. That's what it is. They have to do this. So, and we're living it. It was so much easier when we just went to the phone and picked it up and got a newspaper, got a magazine, read Rolling Stone or The Nation in these times. Much easier. Add to this way that we consume it all at the same time, all in one place. Our feeds treat everything the same: political news, weather, personal rants, Bible verses, ads, movies, trailers, cat videos. Everything fuses together so that we can't distinguish between what matters and what doesn't. What articles are actually worth reading? Which breaking news is actually news? And then there's the unreflective pace. On top of all this, the pace of our lives, maybe before the pandemic, I don't know, is so fast and unreflective. There is more to process than ever before, but less and less time to do so. So we simply don't take the time to sit with our thoughts, to reflect, to ponder. Our in between moments, waiting in line at the store, riding the train, etc., are spent where? On our phones, scrolling and swiping. There is a huge contributing factor to our, this is a huge contributing factor to our crisis of epistemology. How can we know what is worth knowing if we never have any time to actually critically think about it? I loved that little article. That was, it'll be in there. So, and then I went down a whole other rabbit hole. But this is pretty good. Are you guys, like, even listening? Are you having fun in the chat? All right. So we've talked about this, and I know you guys are having fun in the chat. It's Friday night. And I picked a pretty, I actually picked a pretty serious subject because my next one was from Real Climate. But this is a long one, and I have been on for 25 minutes minus the 8 that I'm going to probably edit out and make this just a knot, and the live chats won't be back. Um, this article, actually, this was really good. This was how to spot alternative scientists. And when I think about this, I want to show you another picture that I got. I want you to look at this closely. And I'm going to put it up real big because this is so indicative of the paranoia that we live in. What do you think of that one? The virus is engineered. The pandemic is engineered. The second wave is engineered. The need for a vaccine is engineered. The race wars are engineered. The weather and food is engineered. The news is engineered. The world is a stage. So we're living on Broadway, but we're living in some kind of sick, twisted Broadway. I don't know what it is, but there is, uh, it's just something. It's okay, guys. You can multitask. I'm going to put this one up. I'm not going to read everything here because it's long and I'm not going to be really super long tonight. I just had to share all this with you. I don't even know if somebody doesn't like engineers. Hi, Climate Marcher John. So this one was interesting in that, and this is indicative of, well, see, to some people this is real, to some it's fake. Alternative scientists. Now this is recent, and this is from Real Climate, and they have an interesting page. Uh, Recently, and I don't know if you can see this whole thing, it's kind of cut off. I don't know why. Let me see. Let me see if you can see the whole thing. I'm going to look and see if you can see the whole thing. Recently, a so-called white coat summit gave me a sense of deja vu. It was held by a group that calls itself America's Frontlines Doctors, and it consisted about a dozen people wearing white coats to the effect of achieving an appearance of being experts on medical matters. But this AFD apparently wanted to address a massive disinformation campaign. What irony, right? And who said that? Who said alternative doomers? That was great. Can you even see the article? Oh yeah, you can. All right, I'm gonna make it big again. I just I screwed that up because it was funny to see you guys. Oh, that's not what I want. What did I do with it? Give me a minute. Raza, you threw me off, and I have to pull this back up. Okay, I hope you can see this. I'll have to look on the screen anyway. So they wanted to address a massive disinformation campaign, and they wanted to counter the medical advice from the real health experts. So this move has a similar counterpart in climate science, where uh, some individuals also have claimed to be experts and dismissed well-established scientific facts. Example, that emissions of CO2 from the use of fossil fuels results in global warming. Can you see it? All right. Climate science is not the only discipline where we see confusion sown by a small number of renegades. A few white coated scholars have disputed the well established danger of tobacco. We see similar attitudes along the intelligent community, the design community, and the so called anti vaxxers. Statistically speaking, we should not be surprised by a few contrarians who have an exceptional opinion within a large scientific community. It is to be expected from a statistical point of view where there is a range of options, so there should be little reason to make a big deal out of it. But on the other hand, there are some fascinating stories to be told. Sometimes there are individuals who can be described as crackpots and quake salvers, which is a scholar. Oh, I don't even want to go into that. Among the climate renegades and some within the AFD who talk about demons. So it's not university academically accepted scientists, okay? The backgrounds is rather colorful, and there's nothing in the background provided about them that gave me any confidence in their judgment. On the contrary. So basically, these people were just getting together, and it's this guy calls it infodemics. And he says it's becoming a growing problem, as featured in an article in Physics World, Fighting the Flat Earth Theory, which I read. That was interesting. The term infodemic reflects the fact that false information is just as contagious as an epidemic. Imposters dressed in white coats peddling false information can cause harm if people take them seriously. So they talk about a movie that HBO came out with, was called After Truth, and the wildest claims can be spread like a rampant disease. So I'm not going to go into the rest of this. You get the drift. There's a lot of discussion out there about what is not real, what is real, what do you believe, what do you not believe. Oh, I'm really screwing this up tonight. Um, it's and I'm presenting you with some articles, some thought. Give it thought. Your own belief system is based on what what area. Like, I hang around in different chats. I don't watch I don't watch mainstream television unless I have to, so that I can educate myself on what uh, they're talking about. And tonight I watched Tucker Carlson, and that was complete denial. And that's ass licking toady Carlson, who is really creepy and makes me sick. And then you go on to Joy Reid, and she's got Donald Trump's niece, and they're dishing the dirt. And then I don't know, CNN had on pundits talking about the military, which actually I kind of got onto that story today because what, you're going to take away the only piece of free journalism these guys and gals in the military have, stars and stripes? What the fuck for? Because I mean, this is like the stupidest move. I'm not a war hawk. I'm not a proponent of big military spending, nothing. But these are people. They're human beings. They're a, they're a they're a volunteer military, and there's not a lot of jobs in this country, and they should have the right to their own journalism, their right to their own newspaper, their right to talk. And this is what happened today. $15.5 million is allocated to this, which is a drop in the bucket for the Pentagon budget, but they're going to take that. They're going to take it. And it's all since there was an article on um, about in the Atlantic. This is where I go crazy. I can't stand it. It is just constant. But, you know, I personally can't take 4 more years of this. I will just continually just keep in touch with the Arctic and keep in touch with what's going on um, in climate science and the science world, which is where I belong because the political world is eating me up and it's so ugly. So I did have one more, which is new. This was another thing about misinformation and all to give you an idea of what's out there. This is, let me get this up for you. Okay, this is the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States of America. And they want to talk, they say, with deliberate deception, a growing threat online, social scientists are devising ways to fight back with cognitive inoculations. I remember this. Now, I went to college a long time ago. My degree is in psychology and I'm a human resources education, but I'm not a philosophy major, which is where epistemology came in. But here I remember cognitive inoculation. And it's a way to bring people out of, well, a cult in a way. Um, I'm I, I'll just read you a little bit about this. Hi, Andy the gardener. How are you? Um, let's see. Interesting one. But I want to go down. All right. Experts sometimes distinguish between misinformation, which is simply wrong, and may even be an honest mistake, and disinformation, which is formulated with an intent to deceive. Now, nobody on their side, the progressives don't think that they're having any disinformation. The Democrats don't think they're having any different, Republican, everybody has their box. Everybody has their box. So, whatever the name, stemming the onslaught can just seem like a losing battle. Researchers, tech companies, journalists, and the fact checkers have been trying to debunk misinformation for years. But researchers have found that this is not as simple as providing people with correct information and hoping it will supplant beliefs. And this is me saying, but what's correct information anymore? Now, I don't feel that way because, of course, I'm right. No, I'm an academic, I guess. Uh, okay, what do you do if you have this mental model and somebody tells you a part of it's wrong? Notes Stephen Lewandowski, chair of cognitive psychology, who's seeking solutions at the University of Bristol in the United Kingdom. It's like ripping out some important part of what you think is happening in the world. Still, the fight against misinformation isn't hopeless. One may be finding a different line of attack. Some research have gotten promising if preliminary results by inoculating people with training videos and games even before they're exposed to misinformation. Others are trying to deal with the aftermath of such exposure using approaches that change the minds of people who have already received a false message. Now, um, I'm not going to go through, it's too long, but it's really good. Hey, there's Hammy. Hi, Sammy Hammy. Uh, Good group tonight. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but we're talking about the psychology of misinformation, and it's so interesting, this stuff, when it's under that psychological umbrella for me. The first factor is social contagion, a formal name for people's tendency to think and act like their friends and family. And what are we seeing now in the Trump cult, right? Researchers have long documented the effect of these linkages on smoking, obesity, and a variety of other behaviors. Initially, they thought behaviors spread through social networks simply by jumping from person to person the way a real virus does. But some practices, such as the use of a mosquito net in malaria-prone regions, they don't catch on easily, leaving researchers puzzled. All right, so goes on. I think you should read it if you'd like. I hope you guys do ever, go back and look at the references. Some of these things are really, really, oh, look, this one's talking about the worldview, our worldview, which is a pre existing internal stories based on our mental tapestry of culture, knowledge, beliefs, and life expectations. For example, a news article that states flu shot induces a 4.4-fold increase in non flu acute respiratory infections might lead a non believer to store the gist, don't get the flu shot, whereas an expert might store something like, there are problems with reporting bias in the data collection, and the report is not trustworthy. So these internal stories or narratives are why straightforward fact checks and debunking of dubious information may not help. So are they saying we're fucked in this article? Tackling it. Wow. Taking into account social contagion, framing, and our worldview, and recognizing that researchers are still divided over how much each factor matters, what strategies then can best protect people against misinformation? Well, guess what? These days, I'm not going to go through the rest of it. I don't think it's possible. I don't. I think that it's just going to keep getting worse as we're on the internet and we see what happens. We are so we're just we're just inundated with bullshit, constant bullshit. I guess that's what the whole gist of this was tonight, and it was precipitated by an argument on Facebook the other day by someone who I liked. We used to tease. I don't know. He was from Long Island. He had a farm. Blah 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 blah. He has changed so much, and it was just a kind of a shock that he went from I don't know, a burner, and he says he comes on and he contests everything that I say about climate change now and anything, and says he's voting for Trump, and I was like, "Are you a fucking moron?" And I was putting him down. He said, "I vote shaming." I'm vote shaming. I was shocked. Okay, this is a man who operates a farm and doesn't believe that climate change is real anymore. Is an anti-masker. Okay, fine. That's whatever. I don't. That wasn't the judgment. It was the science. And all of this, these things get me thinking, what am I going to do? What can I show you? What can I teach from my experience? I hope you've gotten a good experience out of this. I hope it helps you to understand just a little better what's out there. Jim says he finds reality so unsettling. It is. And I'm immersed in it because I research, I read, I do for this. Um, and Poppy says, be fascinated, not depressed. That's a good way to think. Am I, oh, I thought I was buffering. I might be. My internet sucks. Everybody knows it. So let's see. Hi, pandemic. Um, pandemic, pandemic box. Kim, everything is made in China. Oh boy, you're having that. Of course it is. And because I was um on watching those news channels today, there was a something about uh, uh, his daughter, Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka. Her and her husband made $36 million in 2019, us outside of their jobs in the White House. They're such grifters. Outside of their jobs um, as grifters. Okay. So, and so much of it are her trademarks in China. It's so tell me that we are not having an epistemological crisis. It's a crisis of of lies and deceit all over everywhere. Everywhere. What a bunch of shit. All right, we're at 43 minutes. Thank me for my sanity. Well, sometimes I don't know if I have sanity, but I could sure put together something because if it makes sense to me, I'm hoping it makes sense to you. Look at the articles I put, look at the progression I put them in, think about all of this, and think about your your own worldview, which I do all the time. Maybe that's why I drive myself crazy. I rack my brain so that I don't fit into one cube or another cube all the time. But it's hard. It's really hard because I'm having gut reactions to things. And I've never had so many gut reactions like this. So thank you guys. What are you saying, Raza? Ellipse. I'm gonna end with, and hopefully you can hear it, with the little guy that was in my yard. A crawfish, I guess, from the creek, but the creek dries up, so, and I went back and he wasn't there. So I'll end with that, and hopefully I'll just put on some music to go with it. Let me see if I can make this work. We'll make it work. This is not a professional show. I don't even, if I edit out the beginning, or I can tell people just fast forward 8 minutes. I could edit out the beginning, but then the live chat goes away and I can't see you guys. I don't know what you all said. So we'll see. Okay, I'm going to start with the music and I'm going to say thank you. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will see you. Wendy, I want to get off the gerbil wheel of confusion. Yeah, and Wendy, you got a good head start with your focus, and you know what I'm talking about. Hey, Bumbles, oh my God, Smurf God, you've been with us forever. Gosh, I love it. Hi, Basil. You guys are going kayaking tomorrow? Guess what I'm doing tomorrow, actually? I'm going canoeing. I haven't been canoeing in years. My husband's taking me. Other people are kayaking. Let's see how this goes. All right, guys. Kim, thank you for being the mod. Jean, thank you for being a mod. Good night. I'm ending with this little guy.